Outside Nigeria, the United Nations Human Rights Chief has condemned the U.S. sanctions on Palestinian rights groups, calling them unacceptable and urging their immediate withdrawal. Volker Turk praised the NGOs Al-Haq, the Palestinian Center for Human Rights, and Al-Mizan for decades of vital work documenting human rights violations. The U.S. imposed sanctions on these groups for cooperating with the International Criminal Court in investigating Israeli nationals without Israel's consent. U.S. Secretary of State announced the measures blocking U.S. financial dealings with the organizations. Meanwhile, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has been blocked from attending the UN General Assembly session in New York next month after he and 80 other Palestinian officials had their visas revoked. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio blamed them for undermining peace efforts and for seeking the unilateral recognition of a conjectural Palestinian state. The decision, welcomed by Israel, is unusual, as the U.S. is expected to facilitate travel for officials of all countries wishing to visit the UN headquarters. The ban comes as France leads international efforts to recognize a state of Palestine at the session, a move Donald Trump's administration has opposed. For this conversation, let's turn to global policy analyst Alexander von Rugen. It's good to have you on the news. Thanks for being here. What are the potential long-term implications of the U.S. blocking Palestinian officials from attending the UN General Assembly? Won't this further escalate the already strained relationship between the U.S., Palestine, and other UN member states?
Well, obviously, yes, but this isn't the first time it's happened. In 1988, the U.S. also blocked Yasser Arafat, the then leader of the PLO, from coming into America, and the General Assembly reconvened in Geneva, where Arafat did attend and was heard.
The ban, we understand, comes as France leads international efforts to recognize the state of Palestine at the session, a move we all know Donald Trump's administration has opposed. I'd like your thoughts on this.
Well, it's gained a little bit of traction because Canada, the UK, and Australia have also announced that they tend to support Palestinian statehood at the next meeting of the Assembly. So I'm sure that has also infuriated Mr. Trump. I believe somehow there may be underlying resentment towards tariffs that are being imposed, which have been politicized now in supporting something that Trump is adamantly against.
All right, the European Union and its legal minds have spoken to the fact that this move by the U.S. is against international law. If you could explain to us why this is and why everyone seems to be against the U.S. On this decision.
Well, it is. I mean, under the UN principles, all delegations, especially with the U.S. being the host country in New York, are allowed to attend. So even if they were from a country that was on a sanctioned list, they would issue visas pursuant to diplomatic passports and accept it. It's important to note, Palestine is not a recognized state. It's an observer state. And that recognition of statehood is adamantly opposed by Israel, of which the U.S. supports. So although the Secretary of State in the U.S. has said, oh, they can come, it's okay, we have to honor them, we have to allow them in because of UN edicts, Trump has said it's against national security interests to let these people in as long as the PLO or the PLA and the PA undermine peace efforts in Gaza. And that's the excuse he's using. So as long as they're supporting Hamas, and Hamas exists, and there's not an acknowledgement of the atrocities of October 7th and no conceivable concessions, this will persist. I think a lot of this effort is also a delay of support for Gaza, which the whole world denounces the atrocities going on there, and a diplomatic resolve as opposed to forced submissions. They want to force the Palestinian people into submission, and that's been the matter that's been up in the air for many months now, since long after the October 7th massacre 2 years ago.
General Assembly to Geneva, is that even possible? Barely 3 weeks, actually.
Well, as I said, it's happened before. I think, Israel would like to prolong this. They've got an ongoing front going into Gaza right now, and I don't think.
Yeah, but the scenario for 1988, is it exactly being replicated now to make that possibility on a higher percentage?
Could you repeat the question, please?
I'm saying the situation that happened with Arafat in 1988, is that replicated now enough for us to speculate on the possibility of relocating the UN General Assembly?
Well, keep in mind the U.S. still is the highest contributor to the UN at about 28% of its operating budget. It's also a founding member and a member for life. It still wields a lot of influence, much to the chagrin of other members. But systematically, look what's happened since 2017. Trump, in his first term, he withdrew from UNESCO, and then he withdrew from the WHO in 2025, all UN organizations. He also withdrew from the United Nations Human Rights Council in 2018.
Okay.
So he disagreed with the handling of things within the UN mindset, and much more recent with the WHO on how COVID was handled during the pandemic.
All right, we'll have to leave it there for now. Thank you very much, Alexander, for obliging us tonight.
My pleasure.